Today is Mary Magdalene's feast day, and all over the world, women who feel connected to her are gathering in prayer, in devotion, in celebration, and remembrance of her true essence. For centuries, Mary Magdalene was hidden. Her true nature was hidden. She was reduced to a prostitute and this abstract symbol, and was locked behind institutional walls that feared her power. But despite all of that, her presence, her frequency, her truth has never disappeared. Mary Magdalene carries a frequency of sacred love, divine wisdom, spiritual sovereignty, and teaches us about death and resurrection, right? Death and rebirth. She is the embodiment of the divine feminine. And we are living in a time of profound transition and collective change. And many of us are feeling called to return to deeper truth, embodied spirituality, devotion, and inner sovereignty. And the frequency that Mary Magdalene carries is exactly what so many of us are longing to remember and to reconnect with. And that's why so many of us are finding ourselves drawn to Mary Magdalene right now, because we're remembering. Mary Magdalene reminds us that our bodies are sacred, that our wombs are oracles, that devotion isn't just something that we should practice on a meditation cushion or inside of a church. It's something that is lived. Devotion is something that we embody. It's the way that we move through our lives, the way that we love, the way that we care for ourselves, the way that we listen to our truth and act from that place. We are remembering the places where we stopped trusting ourselves. We're letting go of all those old stories and the ways in which we've silenced ourselves and made ourselves small, the places in which we've disconnected from our bodies and this innate wisdom that lives in our bodies. And Mary Magdalene has this beautiful way of calling us home. When her presence comes to you, she comes to initiate you, to remind you of your truth, to activate you. And it's so powerful when she makes her presence known. She offers, usually she comes during a threshold when your life is asking for a change, when your soul is asking for a deeper truth, a deeper knowing, a deeper sovereignty. And especially when we're ready to shed old identities and remember who we are beneath the conditioning, beneath the good girl identity, right? Beneath all those stories that we've been carrying. And she comes to awaken those parts of us that have been sleeping, perhaps sometimes sleeping for lifetimes. And she helps to awaken that which has been hidden. And that certainly was true for me. Mary Magdalene came to me during one of the hardest seasons I've ever experienced. It was during the pandemic. After a very traumatic experience with my family, my entire nervous system began to unravel. I was living with anxiety and insomnia, ongoing health challenges that I just couldn't explain. And I spent an entire year in and out of doctors trying to understand what was happening. And eventually I got to the place where I couldn't keep trying to control externally, right? I surrendered in this deep, deep surrender. I prayed and I asked for help. And that was when Mary Magdalene came into my life in this very deep and profound way. And looking back, I realized that she didn't come to give me something new necessarily. She did come with this presence that helped me remember that I could trust my intuition, because all along that year I spent in and out of doctors, there was this inner knowing that I knew what was happening in my body and that I could heal, but I was still searching for external validation, external answers. And she helped me reconnect with the divine in a way that felt personal and embodied, and she helped me open my gifts. You know, these gifts that we all have, that we all come here with these beautiful gifts. And so it's not like we're learning gifts, but we're remembering and we're awakening these gifts that perhaps we at some point forgot or doubted or had to shut off. And so through my connection through Mary Magdalene, my channel opened, my light language began to flow, and my relationship to the divine and prayer completely transformed. And most importantly, I began trusting my body again. I began remembering that my body wasn't working against me. It was communicating with me. It was leading me back to myself. And since then, Mary Magdalene has become one of my greatest teachers and one of my greatest guides. And one of the things that I love most about her is that she asks humanity to be in our bodies, right? She's not asking us to transcend humanity like many spiritual practices and lineages. She's actually asking us quite the opposite. She invites us to inhabit our body, to recognize our bodies as these beautiful temples, that our emotions are sacred and that our wombs are sacred, that the feminine wisdom that lives within us is sacred. And alongside Yeshua, Mary Magdalene offers us another beautiful teaching, which is probably one of my favorite teachings, and that has truly transformed my own life, and that's sacred union. And not just sacred union with our divine counterpart, that's beautiful, but inner marriage, the union of our feminine and masculine energies, the union of intuition and action, receiving and creating, heart and mind, coming into this deep wholeness within our spirit and body. Because when all of our parts begin to harmonize, to come together, we remember our wholeness and our entire life begins to shift. Because we show up to life differently. We love differently, we create differently, we lead differently. And so our entire world shifts from this place of inner marriage, inner wholeness. And this is exactly what we're going to be exploring together on day 2 of Remembrance, Divine Feminine Awakening online retreat. We are going to be spending the day walking the path of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua through ceremony, movement, ritual, embodiment practices, energy healing, prayer, and devotion. And not simply to understand sacred inner union, but to actually experience it and embody within ourselves. Because awakening has never been about escaping this human experience. It's about bringing more of our soul here in our bodies. It's about remembering our body holds incredible wisdom, that our intuition can be trusted. So if you've been listening to this and you've been drawn and called to Mary Magdalene, if this is something your heart is quietly saying yes to, I would be so honored to welcome you to Remembrance. I look forward to holding space for you. We're going to gather online for 2 days in ceremony and sisterhood and healing and devotion to remember who we truly are. And so I hope you will join us.